نوروز سعید آمد، نوروز سعید آمد، یا رب که مبارک باد، یا رب که مبارک باد. نزهت به مزید آمد، یا رب که مبارک باد، یا رب که مبارک باد. شد شدت دی کوته، شد شدت دی کوته، دل شد ز ربیع آگه، هر لحظه بگو صدره، یا رب که مبارک باد، یا رب که مبارک باد. چون مژده عید آمد، چون مژده عید آمد، مبدأ به معید آمد، نوروز سعید آمد، یا رب که مبارک باد، یا رب که مبارک باد.
Spring is here, and what a privilege it is to share this occasion with all of you.
The word Navroz, also pronounced Nowruz, means new day in Persian. It is an ancient, centuries-old Persian festival that takes place on the vernal equinox each year, as winter gives way to spring in the northern hemisphere. It is celebrated on the first day of the month of Farah of the Iranian solar Hijri calendar, which is about the 21st of March on the Gregorian calendar. Nowruz, like New Year's traditions from other cultures, is usually a time when families and communities come together. It is a reminder of renewal and a fresh start. It is a chance to reflect on our personal lives and to think about our achievements and failures during the previous year, and to make resolutions for the new year. Nowruz is also a time of spiritual revitalization, of giving thanks for divine blessings, and for looking ahead to the future with optimism and hope. It is an opportunity to reaffirm the ethical message of Islam. It is a time of forgiveness and new beginnings, and extending goodwill, help, and support towards those in need. Prayers are offered for peace, prosperity, sustenance, and faith.
Shri Hari Kayama Shikara Ramva Vana Gaya Seva Ka Namana Thaya Udasi Prana Hari Charane Raya भणे शमासे तमे सांभळो रुखी साहेब ना गुण नहीं विसारे तेना प्राण नहीं थाशे दुखी.
A darbar is an occasion of happiness. And sometimes the Jamaat in the past months has said to me, Hazrat Imam, why do you make these jokes? And I said, well, why shouldn't I make jokes? A darbar is a moment of happiness. And I remind them that in Islam, happiness is a blessing. It is a blessing from Allah. And therefore, if you have smiles and you have happy children and you have friends and you enjoy the qualities of life, this is also a reason to be thankful for the blessing from Allah.
My name is Hussein Madavji, coming to you from Toronto, hosting a very special edition of Friday Night Reflections, the Navroz edition. Tonight we...
Hi.
Rizwan?
Hi, Moose.
Yeah.
I'm supposed to be hosting Friday Night Reflections.
What? That doesn't make any sense. Rizwan, we're actually shooting this thing right now. What are you doing here?
I know. I was called by the Friday Night Reflections director, and I was asked to host this very special Friday Night Reflections for Nowruz. You know, it's a special occasion, so, I mean...
He called you personally? Because that's... Yes. I mean, it normally it's like a third-party system. Like, it was a bit of a... Well, great. Rizwan, listen, I'm just going to break it to you. You haven't hosted Friday Night Reflections before. This is your first time hosting it. I have done it a bunch of times before. This is a very special edition. It's the Navroz edition. You kind of want someone with a little bit of experience, you know, doing it up.
All right, so I'm sure it's very difficult, and this is getting super awkward. So in the spirit of cooperation, why don't we just do it together? Can you please call my agent? I don't know what's going on.
Great.
Yeah. Hey. So why don't we take it away?
Okay. Sure. We'll do it together. My name is Hussein Madavji, coming to you from Toronto, hosting a very special Navroz edition of Friday Night Reflections.
That was great, but I think it's probably best if I start. Hi, I'm Rizwan Manji, hosting a very special edition of Friday Night Reflections, the Navroz edition, and I'm coming to you from sunny Los Angeles.
Yeah, but as you know, this is for the Canadian Jamat, so the fact that you're in LA doesn't necessarily, well, it's not very authentic, you know. Just want to point that out. That was low, but again, this is Navroz, the spring edition, and, you know, it is actually spring in Los Angeles. What was it, like -10 yesterday in Toronto? Whoa. Okay, that's low. You know how sensitive we are.
Sorry. No, I do not mean to insult your weather, but it's really hot here. I'm so red that I'm, like, sunburned from all the heat in Los Angeles.
Rizwan,
all right. This whole thing is super awkward. Okay. We have a special guest.
Yes, we have a very special guest, actually. President Kassim-Lakha is with us today. So,
where is he broadcasting from? Because I don't see him.
oh, he broadcasts from ICT, the Ismaili Center, Toronto. He has actually a spot there for him, which is where he presents from. It's actually kind of cool. So
That's amazing. And we have somebody interviewing him.
we do. Farah Bundeali will be interviewing Ameerally Kassim-Lakha. Take it away, Farah.
All right. Well, take it away. This was super weird.
So weird.
Super
You
weird.
said, why are you here?
Yali Madad President Saib, thank you so much for joining us today. And I want to first start by wishing you Navroz Mubarak.
Navroz Mubarak to you as well.
You know, President Saib, it's the month of March, and it's a wonderful time. Spring is upon us. It's a time of new reflections, new beginnings. But this year is particularly important in that it's marked our 2-year anniversary since COVID was declared a global pandemic. And I know that this has created so many challenges for people and really our Jamaat as a whole. But I always remember the messages that we'd received from Maulana Hazir Imam, when he would say to us that coming out of every challenge will be an opportunity. And so now, as we kind of look ahead and we see the easing of government restrictions, what do you see as some of the opportunities for the Jamaat ahead, and what are you most excited about?
I think 2 years, first of all, is a long time for a crisis. And, it's taken a real toll on the Jamaat. The lockdowns, the semi-lockdowns, the openings, closings, all of that has taken a toll. So I think we're all excited about things opening up and, our activity level in the Jamaat increasing as well. And, things going back to what resembles a little bit more like the normal times before COVID hit us. But what I think we have to be careful about is that there are still people that need to be cautious. For example, children at the age of 5 have still not received their vaccines. And there are a lot of immunocompromised individuals in the Jamaat. And so, we need to be respectful of how people engage and some of the protections they might need. I'm sure you've observed that in Jamaat Khana, for example, we're continuing the masking policy for the next little while. And these kinds of measures are important to make sure the protections are there for those who are compromised in some way but still want to participate in our Jamaat Khana activities.
So President Saib, a lot has changed in the last 2 years as well. The way in which we live, the way in which we work, and in fact, some of our values have just changed going through COVID in the last 2 years. What, if any, of that concerns you as you look ahead?
What I worry about is that while Jamaat Khana attendance has increased significantly in the last few weeks as we have increased capacity in Jamaat Khana, I worry about new patterns that have become established in the Jamaat through COVID, and amongst those patterns would include a pattern of not coming to Jamaat Khana for many and not having community connections. And some families have settled into that pattern that has formed in their lives and are not perhaps coming back, where they may have the choice and are able to. It's clearly a choice to be made by families and individuals and assess the risk for themselves. But what I want to point out is that there's so much happiness to be derived, spiritual happiness in communicating with others in congregational prayer. And we need to think about not creating an unintended void in our lives by not coming back to Jamaat Khana if we have the option to do so. It can have consequences for our children, create a void in their lives, for our families. And I think that to the extent that we are comfortable, it's important to re-establish that pattern of coming back to Jamaat Khana and making those community connections.
Yeah, for sure. And hopefully as we see, more restrictions easing, things changing in schools, and this is our first time being able to do this together as well. So inshallah, we will see that continual change. So, as we see obviously this COVID, the restrictions easing and things getting better here in Canada, the world is a bit of a different situation, and we continue to see a lot of geopolitical challenges out there. How do you think that's affecting our Jamaat?
I think it is affecting our Jamaat. One thing that we have to recognize, as a result of COVID, there has been significant inflation in Canada. And that inflation and that pressure from COVID is going to continue. First of all, there's been global supply chain issues. There have been severe labor shortages. And with the crisis in Eastern Europe, with Ukraine and Russia, we can only expect there to be further cost escalations. We're seeing it in energy prices. We're seeing it in housing costs. We're seeing it in food costs. Jamaat has to be careful with their spending. If we think about it, every time there's been a crisis, particularly a global crisis in the past, and I'm referring to the past, I'm not referring to the present, Maulana Hazrat Imam's advice and guidance to the Jamaat has always been to be cautious with spending, to be cautious with investments, to be prudent overall. And I think it's important that the Jamaat take a pause and think about these issues at this point in time. On the flip side, there are tremendous opportunities for the Jamaat. The labor shortages across Canada are opportunities for the Jamaat to further their employment options. And for those individuals who are prepared to upskill, who are prepared to invest in their own personal capacity, there are tremendous opportunities in entrepreneurship, in the trades, in one's employment. And I think now is the time to think about these issues. Hazrat Imam has been saying throughout COVID, and as you pointed out a couple of minutes ago, that he wanted the Jamaat to emerge from COVID in a stronger position than going into COVID. Now is the time to think about that, and now are the opportunities. And for those who haven't committed to building capacity, this is a good time to think about it.
President, you touched on, sort of the global instability and some of the conflict, around the world. How do you think this is affecting our Jamaat, and what do you think we need to be doing here in Canada around this?
I'd like to zero in on the refugee crisis that exists around the world and how it also impacts the Jamaat. If we look at the stats today, they indicate that refugee levels across the globe are at unprecedentedly high. The Jamaat is also impacted. The Jamaat that's had to move out of their home countries and are stranded, if you will, in other countries. We are very fortunate in Canada. We're very privileged to have the circumstances, the amenities that we have in Canada, but we need to recognize that many of us have also arrived in Canada as refugees. We left our home countries because there were issues, there were difficulties, and Canada has offered us an excellent quality of life and opportunities. But in all of this, I want to bring up, there are some very concerned Jamati families here in Canada that are wanting to support other families who are stranded in other parts of the world. And they have a very genuine desire and not quite sure how to go about providing that support. And I would like to say to them that please speak to the local council presidents in each of your regions about how you can engage, how you can support, and how you can be connected with some of these families. We welcome this sentiment of wanting to support. And again, I would call on the Jamaat to speak to the local councils to see how you can engage in this area.
That's amazing, and privilege is probably a very important word. And you think of it, so this year is actually quite important to us in that it marks the 50th anniversary of our first mass migration of Ismailis coming here to Canada. What do you think is the significance of this, and what does that mean for us?
I think we have to celebrate, we have to reflect, we have to pause and think about the years to come. You know, it's coming up to 50 years since the Ugandan crisis occurred and the Jamaat's movement began, as you indicated. And we have to celebrate that, unquestionably, but we have to also celebrate the movement of the Jamaat from other parts of the world, from the rest of Africa, from the Middle East, from South Asia, from Central Asia. I mean, it's significant that it's coming up to 30 years since the migration began from Afghanistan to Canada. So we want to celebrate that diversity. In the coming months, the institutions will be reaching out to the Jamaat to hear and document stories about the movement of the Jamaat, the problems that people experienced, how they overcame them, you know, in making their journey to Canada. and how people have settled and the success stories. So we want to chronicle all of this and document all of this and share all of this with the Jamaat. But I also think that this coming year, we need to be a little bit reflective and pause, like I said. We need to think about the next 50 years. What are the decisions that we as a Jamaat, as families and individuals need to take today so that we are aligned around strength in our vision for the next 50 years and how we continue to build in Canada. Canada is a country of opportunity, but that opportunity has to be seized in a very methodical way. It needs certain decisions to be made at this point in time for these opportunities to be seized. So I think we need to reflect on that as well.
I know, very, very good words. And in fact, you know, it's nice to be able to see what we've achieved, but yet there's so much more work to be done. And, you know, look forward to seeing what we as a Jamaat can do. You know, I want to take us back a little bit to COVID. You know, one of the things during COVID that became very clear and, you know, we created a lot more awareness about was around the topic of mental health. And we saw this become a topic of interest because it affected so many Canadians. And I could see us, even within our own institutions, we've been talking a lot more about it. So maybe, President, share with us how you think as a Jamaat we can navigate through this and what we need to think about as we move ahead in the future around mental health.
You know, Farah, through COVID, I personally spoke to the Jamaat in many instances about mental health issues. You know, before COVID, we were reticent to tackle certain topics of conversation with the Jamaat. Through COVID, we became more comfortable. It was part of our approach and strategy to ensure that we, over a period of time, begin to tackle the question of stigma and openness around conversations. I'll tell you my personal view, and I think it's one that's shared very widely. There is no substitute for family affection, family support, the circle of support that can be available to an individual who is experiencing mental health challenges. You know, good extended family relationships, these things go a long ways in being able to manage issues or helping people to manage issues. That being said, you know, when things persist, problems persist, it's important to reach out for professional help. And sometimes it's beyond the capacity of the family to resolve the problem. We need to recognize that. The challenge that we're facing as a community and other Canadians as well is that stigma prevents us from seeking that professional help when we require it. It's important that we build mental health literacy in our families. We need to be aware of conditions, diagnosis, treatment options, and how to evaluate the professional help that we get. That's very critical. Unless we do that, it's very, very difficult for certain people to seek the help when they require. But family plays a key role, and we don't realize how dependent those who are affected are on family members and circles of support.
Yeah, so obviously the importance of that learning, and like you said, the tie to family, but also the tie to returning back to Jamaat Khana and feeling the bond of the Jamaat together. Maybe, President, you can give us a little bit more information on what you see as sort of the coming priorities of the institutions as we move ahead and as we navigate through this sort of next phase coming out of COVID.
The institutions have, you know, many significant priorities, but perhaps I can zero in on two things that are relatively nascent or new. You know, the Jamaat was very excited when we opened the multi-generational housing complex in Calgary. It's a beautiful campus, and I highly encourage members of Jamaat who live outside of Calgary to try and visit that campus when they have an opportunity. We are moving quickly to establish MGH campuses in other parts of the country to support the Jamaat. These are exciting. These are not just residential facilities for seniors. Yes, we'll provide independent living, assisted living, long-term care, dementia care for seniors as they age, so people feel supported as they age. They're aging in place solutions. But we're also going to be incorporating affordable housing for families. We're going to be incorporating Jamaat Khanas into the projects, early childhood development facilities. So a lot of community programming, and I think it'll be exciting once we start sharing in the coming months the construction plans and the plans for breaking ground on all of these projects. I think the Jamaat will enjoy that, listening to the information we share with them. That's one. The second thing I want to share is that through COVID, there have been a number of volunteers, a large number of volunteers in Canada that have really helped the institutions with our international programming and the supports we provide to other councils and jurisdictions and to Jamaats in other countries as well. And this has taken many forms. We started with leadership training, leadership development. We moved on to English language training, and that's critical because in many countries, people's employment opportunities and incomes significantly increase once there's mastery of the English language. We're providing digital literacy training and are now even thinking about math. And I want to say that COVID has really facilitated all of this. The volunteers from Canada and even some from outside of Canada are participating. These volunteers are telling us how much happiness, how much satisfaction, spiritual satisfaction they're deriving from this service. And so I want to make a call out to all our Jamaat, the coaches, the mentors in the Jamaat, the teachers in the Jamaat, come forward. This programming that we're providing, it provides a lot of opportunity for mentoring as well, for bonds to form, for friendships. And we really want to encourage the Jamaat to come forward and participate in this international programming.
Really does speak to the opportunities ahead. Thank you for sharing that, President Saib. I want to take you to a different topic now, a topic, climate change, and a topic that we see is one of extreme concern of importance to Maulana Hazrat Imam, and in fact the entire Noorani family we see engaged in this topic. What are the Canadian Jamati institutions doing around that and that call for action on that area?
Farah, you very correctly pointed out that Maulana Hazrat Imam in his guidance has established this as a real priority for the Acadian institutions, and he has entrusted Prince Rahim to oversee this effort to, by 2030, achieve a goal of net zero. That's ambitious for the Acadian institutions. The Jamati institutions are following the same policy, the same framework, and we've begun a process of conducting extensive research on our infrastructure here in Canada, our operations, activities, and how we can reduce our footprint and achieve the same targets. What I do want to say is that in the Jamaat here in Canada, there are a lot of people that have a lot of experience and expertise in this area. We want them to come forward. We want them to participate in the process, the research that we're carrying out, and proposing solutions as well. They obviously have to be cost-effective solutions. I think a lot of young people in the Jamaat consider this to be a real priority. It is important, and I'm sure people will be very excited about the initiatives that will be underway. We have a lot of work to do. We have a lot of investments to make. I don't want to understate how difficult it's going to be, but inshallah, we'll achieve the targets together.
Inshallah, no, and it is an exciting time. And like you said, it's a great way to connect with some of our youth and our young professionals in a topic with importance. Okay, so setting aside the weight of the world, and I know there's a lot that goes around in the world today, but it is the time of Navroz, and Navroz is a time of celebration. So President Saib, how do you celebrate, and what is your family planning on doing to celebrate Navroz?
Well, look, Nowruz is a celebration for Muslims, particularly Shia Muslims around the world. It's an important time. It's a new beginning. We're coming out of COVID. Things are opening up. We're all excited about the opportunities ahead. And it's after 2 years that the Jamaat is able to come together a little bit more freely and celebrate and commemorate. We've started establishing Chai nights, and we're going to escalate some of the Chai night activity for the next few months so the Jamaat can really catch up and make up for lost time. I think Navroz itself, this weekend is exciting. It's an opportunity to visit family and share a meal with one another. But Navroz itself, we're serving cake and sharbat after 2 years in the Jamaat.
That is exciting.
Yeah. So looking forward to that.
Amazing. Okay, well, so as we kind of come to an end, maybe a set of lightning questions if you're up for it.
Sure.
That works?
Sure.
Okay. Biryani or akhni?
Biryani.
Coffee or tea?
Tea.
A nickname that you used to be called?
Thankfully, it's always been Amir.
All right, fair enough. I'll stick with President Saib today, though. Your favorite thing that you used to like to buy in Nandi?
Chocolates.
Oh, chocolates. Okay. How many kids do you have?
2 sons.
2 sons. Okay. Hockey, golf, or swimming?
Swimming. I practically grew up next to a pool.
Wonderful. Okay. A country that you would like to visit?
Morocco. That's been on our list. I really want to experience the culture, understand the history.
Wow. Well, that sounds like fun. And now that travel restrictions are easing, there we go.
Yeah.
Your favorite FNR episode, knowing that I'm sitting right here, though?
I would have to say it was the mini-series From the Heart. I genuinely meant what I shared with the Jamaat. It was very important for me personally.
Okay. A book or a movie that you've recently enjoyed?
I recently read When Breath Becomes Air, Paul Kalanithi. It's a beautiful book on the fragility of human life.
Okay. Gonna have to add that to my list.
Yeah.
Okay, well, last but not least, something that you're most grateful for?
Hopefully, if we can come out of COVID.
Fair, fair. I think that is upon all of our hearts and all of our wishes. So that's wonderful. You know what? Thank you so much, President Saib, for taking the time and spending this with us. Maybe just as we come to an end, any final thoughts or comments that you want to make for the Jamaat?
First of all, I want to wish the Jamaat Navroz Mubarak. It's a happy time, and we offer our prayers on behalf of all the leadership for the Jamaat. We hope that everybody gets together as families and celebrate together, and we're able to bring that community spirit together. We want to offer prayers as a leadership for those Jamaats that are experiencing difficulties, for Mushkil Asan. And there are many Jamaats that are, as I indicated earlier, stranded outside of their home countries, and we need to think about them. I also want to thank, there are some very generous families in Canada, a lot of them. We have just launched the JSF program, and as we open up our activities, we're going to have, and we establish in-person programming, we're going to have significant financial needs. And there are families here in Canada that derive a lot of happiness, they gain a lot of barakat, they get that satisfaction from contributing, from being generous. We invite everybody in the Jamaat to experience this barakat. You know, we've always had the policy of one for all for one. This is a time to be generous and to be grateful as well. So we thank the Jamaat that's participating for their participation. And thank you, Farah, for the interview. Thank you for taking the time to meet with me.
Oh,
Appreciate
no,
it.
thank you, and I mean President Saib. And look, I think I speak on behalf of the entire Canadian Jamaat to provide our sincere thank you and deep appreciation for everything that you do for the Jamaat, for Canada as a whole, and in fact for the world as a whole. You know, the work that has been done is incredible, and the work that's coming ahead is going to be even that much more incredible. So thank you very much. Navroz Mubarak to you and to your entire family.
Farah, I just want to say, it's made possible by our volunteers. We have outstanding volunteers in Canada, well, across the world, and they are the ones who make all of this possible.
You're
So
absolutely
thank you.
right. Wonderful. Thank you again.
That was a wonderful interview. Thank you so much, President Saib and Farah. Thank you. That was amazing.
Hey Riz, I'm not sure how you're feeling, but I kind of go up and down, you know, because even though COVID is receding, hopefully, you know, we just continue to have global instability and global conflict, and it just feels like it doesn't stop, like it is never ending.
Yeah. You know, I, like everyone else, think about it all the time, but I'm taking this opportunity. You know, Nowruz is a time to pause, to offer thanks, and, you know, take a moment to enjoy ourselves.
Yeah, actually, you're right. You're right. It is exactly that. Now we got to take a moment to enjoy, to laugh, and to help us do that, we're very lucky to have everyone's favorite Nani.
Don't worry, I'll go pote. Ha, who upar jais, ha. Ha, yali, bye. Oh, today though, I'm going Jamaat Khana, and after that I'm going wedding. Busy, jo bapa. Mancha ne jalsa hai, finally. Pehla to one wedding per year I used to get invitation for. But in the last 2 years, I to got invited to so many weddings. Let me think, did everyone send me invitation because they appreciate me and my duashish? There was no extra kharcho to invite me, that's why. But good, at least I learned how to go lagan ne wedding garage besine, right? I learned so many new things. Shukar, ઘરે બેસીને વિવાહમાં જાઓ, અરે મજા આવી ગઈ ને. ભલે કોવિડ ખરાબ, but I learned so many new things. શુકર for Sukun program, એટલા બધા. I can sit at home and listen to wires. Ne, I learned so many other things, even how to look after my health, so many things. And Shukar, I always had a dream that I want to one day go to Aga Khan University. Ne, I want to attend convocation. But I thought when and how I can go. But see, bhale COVID kharab, but Shukar, I was able to attend convocation. Bau maja aavi. Shukar. But today to fine રીતે I'm going to get ready. I will go Jamat Khana ne pachi I'll go wedding. Upar jais. Upar is so convenient ne. Whether you want to go Jamat Khana, you want to go shopping, you want to go groceries, Upar is the best. I to go Upar every day. Upar એટલે ઓલી ગાડી કાર આવે છે ને આપણે લેવા ઉપરમાં. એ ઉપર, not that ઉપર જવાનું. ના. એ તો who knows ne, who goes upar when. But seniors like us, we think like that sometimes when our time will come. But Shukar, we have reached the age of seniors. Seniors are so precious and so priceless, Everybody doesn't understand our value. But I am to so old. Ola છે ને archaeology વાળા, they understand my value. I'm so old. But we are so priceless. You should know my value is very high, Maybe not as high as gas. મારા મોલા, યા ખુદા, એમાં શું થશે પેટ્રોલના ભાવ? જો તો ઓલે કોવિડની સ્ટાર્ટિંગમાં gas was even less than $1. મને યાદ છે. That time I told all my friends and family, take my advice. Forget toilet paper, go buy gallons and gallons of gas. ને પેટ્રોલ રાખી દ્યો સ્ટોરમાં. No, nobody listened to my advice. They say, ના, બહુ ડેન્જર છે. હવે જોયું ગેસના ભાવ. As seniors, we know how to think. We are very smart. Okay, now I have to go. I have to find it and get ready. Because with and without mask, makeup karwa, get ready, tawa big difference. I have to go fast, Jamat Khana, jaldi, Bapa, na to I'm not going to get any chairs. Few months ago, there were only chairs and chairs in Jamat Khana. Now people, now to Jota Shukar, there is so much ronak in Jamat Khana. I'm going to go there and inshallah we will all meet in Jamat Khana, Nowruz ma. But still, to all of you, Navroz ni gani mubaraki me mola bless us all, keep us all sukhi salamat. Amin. Okay, yali madad badhane. Bye. Avjo. Bye.
Thank you, Nani, for those thoughts and blessings.
And a reminder that despite our challenges, we can always pause to smile.
Iris, our next special guest is coming from the Ismaili Center, Vancouver.
Vancouver? Hey, that's where my mom is. Hi, Mom.
Auntie. Yes, all the way from the Ismaili Center, Vancouver. Please welcome Muki and Mukiani of Darkhana, Nazmuddin, and Shanaz Banji.
Sorry about the rain. It's really hot here.
Oh my gosh, here we go.
My brothers and sisters, Ya Ali Madat.
On behalf of all the Mukhi Kamaria and Mukhani Kamariyani of Canada, we would like to wish you a very special Navroz Mubarak.
On March 13, 2020, Jamaat-Khanas across Canada closed for the first time. It has been a long 2 years. Many of us have lost loved ones and experienced illnesses. We have experienced job loss, we've seen businesses suffer, and schools close. We have coped with isolation, and we have some extreme loneliness. We've at times been confined to our homes. We've not been able to visit restaurants, go to movies, or to the gym. We've also not been able to attend bayas, weddings, funerals, graduations, family gatherings, vacations, and community events with loved ones and friends. Gatherings that enable us to celebrate, to connect, to grieve, and to support each other. It is difficult to overstate the impact that these challenges have had and the strain that they have caused.
But that has not been the whole story. As with every challenge, has come the opportunity for growth and strengthening. We have come together across Canada and the world, digitally, in ways we have never done before. We have seen the Jamaat passionately spring into action and support each other. Volunteers delivered groceries, answered phone calls, hosted online and telephone programs, provided medical advice, offered mental health supports, and more. Many of us were able to spend time at home, less time traveling, more time reconnecting with immediate family, and use quiet moments to renew our personal connection to our faith. Indeed, the last 2 years have reminded us how lucky we are and what is most important to us: each other, our families, our community, our faith, and the guidance of our beloved Imam.
As your Mukhi Kamya and Mukhani Kamyani, the past 2 years were also difficult for us. We have not been able to see our Jamaat regularly, to connect and to share your lives, to visit those who are unwell, to offer prayers for your studies, to hear how your family members in other parts of the world are doing. We too have ached to see our Jamaat. Over the past few days and weeks, it has brought us immeasurable joy after such a long period to be able to see so many of you in person, to hear how you coped, to see how your children have grown, and to hear about the challenges you continue to face, and to share in the lives and the joys of the difficult times you have overcome.
On the occasion of the new year and the start of spring, let us use this opportunity not merely to return to what was normal, but to build upon what we have learned, to construct a better tomorrow, one in which we commit even more strongly to take care of our own health and well-being, both mental and physical, to take care of each other as families and as a community, to support our most vulnerable, to ensure that we help those in need, in crisis or facing difficulty, which all of us experience at various times in our lives, to love each other, to use our incredible privilege to contribute to a more equitable and caring world, to commit to the regular practice of our faith, and to living the values and principles of our tariqah every day.
When people are extremely busy and it feels like life is out of control, it used to be a popular expression to say, "Please stop the world. I need time to pause." Well, the world did stop for much of 2 years. We were given a break from regular routines and patterns of life. Now, as we look with hope to a brighter future, let us remember the past not just as 2 years of hardship, but as opportunities for personal and spiritual growth from which we will emerge stronger, more resilient, and more self-aware.
Please know that as your Mukhi Kamarya and Mukyani Kamaryani, we very much look forward to seeing you, and we continue to be here for you at all times. We pray for all those souls we have lost, that they may rest in eternal peace. We pray for your good health, for peace of mind, for success in our material and spiritual lives, and for the elimination of all our difficulties. We pray for peace and well-being for all those around the world experiencing conflict, distress, or instability. We pray for happiness and for long life. On this special occasion, we offer Navroz Mubarak to each and every one of you with all our love.
Wow, that was beautiful. Thank you so, so much.
It was beautiful, and come on, Riz, it was so cute, huh?
Hey, Hussein, do you know what 2022 is for our community?
Yeah, 2022. Yes, 2022 for our community marks 5 years since Maulana Haji Imam's Diamond Jubilee.
Wow, what an overachiever. That's why you host all the time, because you know everything.
Thank you, thank you.
2022 will mark 65 years of Hazri Imam's Imamat. And what better time to show gratitude? And, take the time to look back and remember Hazri Imam's Diamond Jubilee visit to Canada.
Yeah, and hopefully remind us, what life will be like soon. Rizwan, I guess this is it.
Yeah, I just wanted to say Navroz Mubarak to everyone who is watching. And, I hope this new year brings you peace, security, prosperity, and happiness to everyone around the world.
Ameen. And Rizwan, thanks for letting me host with you on this special edition of Friday Night Reflections. Navroz Mubarak, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us.
Navroz Mubarak to the Canadian Jamat from sunny Los Angeles.
Oh my God. Yali Madad.
Yali Madad.
Ya Mawla, we gather at your doorstep, knowing that you hear our longing and are aware of our deepest desire, and that no one leaves your court empty-handed. You are the bestower of bounty, grace, and mercy. Today, with folded hands, we humbly and earnestly beseech you for wajoo, the glimpse of our beloved Imam. Ilva, 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 arrive. Ille, 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 arrive. Mara Maula ke neda padarshe, saathe rahmat ane barakat laushe, mu'minuna dilda harshe ubhrashe, mu'minuna dilda harshe ubhrashe. Like the first day of the spring,
toi qu'on désire voir. Soleil de nos espoirs, c'est toi que l'on accueillit. La beauté de l'avenir, ta lumière nous illumine tous. Et so we shine brighter and brighter and brighter, fly higher and higher and higher. I am Maulana, I am Maulana, I am Maulana, I am Maulana. You is our smile, with you is our life, from you is our light, and all throughout time it's through you we unite. No mountain, no river, no desert means that we're always together.
Thank you, Canada. Thank you, Canada, for the advice, the support, the encouragement you've given to our institutions. I see leaders from Canada, Ismaili leaders from Canada, who have come up through the community ranks, who are wonderful examples of Canadian knowledge, Canadian wisdom, Canadian comprehension. So we are building on the best of Canadian values. Mes plus vifs remerciements. Merci, merci infiniment, merci beaucoup.
Ya liku bamija la